This video explains the best practices for product titles on Amazon FBA. In this video, we're going to cover what to include in your title, which search terms to include, and what not to include. I've just written a brief explanation for this video that the main function of a product title is to enhance the click-throughs to your listing and to maximize the organic rank. Do not, however, compromise sales conversions. Use only relevant search terms that will also encourage customers to buy. So here's what I mean by that. The most important part of a product title is to increase people actually clicking on your listing, so to increase click-throughs. So if this was the search results, if people were searching for your product, there's no use in having a great product and a fantastic listing if people don't click on it first. So what we want to do with the title is actually encourage customers to click on your product. Now, obviously, the main image is also going to be of assistance with that, but we also want to utilize the title to encourage people to actually click on your product. The second thing is to boost the organic ranking of your product. Product titles have been recognized to score very highly in terms of boosting your organic ranking. So it's an area where we really want to encourage or include the best search terms for your product. So it's going to rank as highly as possible in the search results. However, we don't want to just stuff the title full of keywords, which may really assist with the SEO, the organic ranking. However, it might put customers off from buying your product because it perhaps looks a bit spammy. It doesn't look very professional. So only use search terms which are relevant to the product and try to make sure the title is well written and is going to ultimately encourage customers to buy, because that's the most important part. So I just wanted to include that in the introduction. As with every video, we're going to have a guide which goes alongside this, and this will explain the specifics of what to include in a title. For example, typically titles can have up to 200 characters. Anything over that, then it will probably get suppressed by Amazon and won't be displayed. And you want to sort of maximize that as much as possible, as we've discussed. Also, you want to include things like your brand name at the beginning and the model number at the end. That's some of the best practices, which is explained further in this guide. So just go through that and make sure you're ticking off what's required when you come to actually write or rewrite your title. Alongside that, what I want you to do before you start writing your title, as we done with the keyword research, which has been explained in a previous video. If you haven't watched that, it will be useful to watch that before having a look at your product titles. But have a look at your competition, start to get a feel of what they're included in their titles, see how they're written, what sort of search terms they're included. So we don't want to just copy them because ultimately they're already ranking for those sort of terms. But you might actually spot there's a slight gap that one of your best keywords, which we'll come to in a moment, is not being included in the title by your competition, your main competitors. So there's a real opportunity for you to actually include that search term in your title and start to climb above them in the search results. So have a look, see what they're doing, see what they're including, and we can potentially model that, not copy it, but model it so we can perhaps try to outdo them in some way, shape or form. As with previous videos, we're going to use this one as a good example and the camelback as a bad example, because they are ultimately just relying on their brand name, which a lot of us aren't fortunate enough to have that sort of recognition. So if your brand doesn't have the sort of exposure that this one does, you really want to start building out with as many search terms as possible so we can start to be found in the search results. This product here is essentially just reliant on the brand name, and they could really still increase their sales by adding in search terms that are relevant. Okay, so what I want you to do when you're ready to start building out your title is go over to your keyword research document and find your main keywords. I've suggested you want to find 10 to 20 main keywords to include in your listing, but I want to find the top 5 for the title. So as I said, you can only include 200 characters, and we want to find the most searched for terms that are relevant to your product from that list. And those are the ones that I want to include in the listing. So just copy those individually and we'll start to build out the title. Here's an example, which is essentially just this one here. It's fantastically well optimized. It uses a lot of different searches and they are very high search volume as well. It comes in under the 200 character limit. They've almost used that exactly, coming in at 196. And they've used a lot of different terms here. So they've started off with the brand name, followed by the model number. So you can say Kmart water bottle 100ml. So there's one example, okay? Here's a different way that you could lay this out. Let's see how many different search terms that we could find that are relevant to this. Sports water bottle. So there's another one. However, if you look closely, there's actually a longer tail search term. So this is absolutely fantastic here. It says sports water bottle with more motivational time marker and straw. Look how much information they're including there. It's well written, it's clear exactly what it is, but there will not be many products that are including this sort of longer tail search in their title. And what that's going to do is anybody that's searching for these things, this product's going to start to come up, especially as you get sales coming in. If people search for this particular term, I appreciate that is a very long search, and they go ahead and buy your product, you're really going to start to become well ranked for that particular search term. So I'm just going to break this up into the different search terms that they've included. Dishwasher safe, leak proof, these are all things that are going to be included or people are going to be searching for, and this is the sort of information they want to know. So not only are they going to be high volume search terms, they're also key pieces of information that a customer wants to know, they want to have addressed before they buy the product. They want to know, is it dishwasher safe? You already know that from reading the title. You've only got this far down the listing and you've had all of this information provided and you're getting a lot of questions answered. So for example, dishwasher safe, they've already answered that. You don't have to scroll through the listing and try to find it in some obscure part of the listing all the way down here. It's already being provided. And I would imagine they've done research on that. They know that's something that their customers are looking for, so they've included it early on. Leak proof, obviously very important. They probably would go for this one, leak proof drink bottle, BPA free, non-toxic. So these are, again, special things that customers want to know. And again, these are terms that are going to be searched for in volume to help customers to find your listing. So there's not too much more to go through. As I said, try to include as many of your best search terms as possible whilst making it well read. The only thing I would say about this is it's not as well readable as some. If you start to break it up with these little dashes, you might have to remove some of these things. So for example, one click open for running a gym, for running and gym, it might be that you have to remove something like the for or open part by putting in these dashes. So you may have to just compromise some of the actual keywords that are included to help it look more well readable and ultimately convert to more sales. So it's a bit of a trade-off between the two, but what you can do over time is you can change your title, you can start to split test them to see which one works best, which one's ultimately going to provide the most conversions, which is the most important thing. So the key parts to highlight are do some research on your competition, find something or a number of competitors that have good titles, try to model the way that they lay their titles out and actually include some information that they haven't provided so you can stand out for that particular thing. Make sure you're including the main keywords and search terms for your particular product, and then build out a title up to the 200 character limit that not only includes those search terms, but is also very well readable and is ultimately going to encourage customers to buy. Remember to check out the product title guide. It'll have all the information you need, and it might take you some time, a bit of playing around before you find the perfect title that you want. But in this video course, we're going to build out a full product description.